All right, let's get into the first style study, MVP. I will say, generally, the more unique a style is, that means most likely there are a lot of pieces from different archetypes in that way that a fighter fights. So someone like MVP, who's known for having a really unique style, is because he takes a lot of different elements from a lot of different archetypes. He sets traps like a counterpuncher. He throws strikes from range like a sniper, kind of. He darts in and out using his feet as to set up offense like a Tasmanian devil. He has a lot of unpredictability in his style like a wild card warrior. So the foundation of a style, but this is an important differentiator between what I was talking about, having a lot of stuff and being the main pieces. The foundation of a style is going to be dependent on the most common patterns that a fighter shows, which we're going to talk about at the end when I try and categorize MVP. In other words, what are the most essential elements or defining elements in their style? And we're going to try and break some of that down right here. The most obvious aspect of MVP style, other than his hands being down and his stance, the most obvious aspect that stands out to me is his rhythm. So like he feints right here and he breaks off, now they're back at range. And then he has this bounce. Obviously, he's known for having that bounce and that rhythm. And then sometimes he'll break that rhythm with feints. And so he's constantly like has this rhythm that he's breaking and he's coming back in. So the breaks in the rhythm with his hands, his hips, his knees, his eyes, everything kind of like feinting, keeping you off guard. And basically, I say essentially his style is the perfect encapsulation of the term I always use, guessing game. MVP is unpredictable in a large amount of ways, so you have to deal with a lot of variables, which is one of the reasons I label him as a wild card warrior. So he's on the back foot, and then all of a sudden he's gonna feint an entry feint, act like he's coming in, and you're gonna see Kevin Holland respond. He's gonna try and look for a shot, but then he realizes that that was a fake, and so he's like, oh, never mind. He goes back to his guard, but then Kevin Holland is now coming forward more aggressively, which is exactly what MVP wants. He's coming forward. MVP times that entry. He tries to blast him with an uppercut, but basically MVP set a little bit of a trap. He used that feint to make Kevin Holland open up. Once Kevin Holland opened up, he started approaching. MVP tried to time him coming forward. So he's performing like a counter puncher in this instance. Deception and range control are cornerstones of his style. Range control is obviously his feet getting in and out when he determines is right for him. But then deception, making either Kevin Holland or his opponent think that he's not throwing a strike at all, or making Kevin Holland or his opponent think that he's throwing a different strike when really he's throwing something else. And then the other part of deception is bringing Kevin Holland in, similar to what he did last time. So he's going to create a lot of distance to get Kevin Holland coming forward. Once Kevin Holland comes forward, the trap is sprung. So Kevin Holland has that forward momentum. He can't back out in time. MVP is doing a lot of stuff with his hands and shoulders, and so Kevin is caught off guard, and that's why that body kick lands. He gets him coming forward, and he gets Kevin not knowing how to react to the body kick. In the midst of him throwing that body kick, he circles around his backside, creating all these crazy angles to just never be in places where Holland expects. And then again, he's going to get Holland coming forward, which is exactly what he wants. Here's the wild card. You don't know if he's throwing a spinning elbow, a spinning heel kick, a flying knee, a kick to the body, a roundhouse, a jumping roundhouse. If he's going to jump off the cage, that's a wild card. Wild card is unpredictability, and he's a perfect example of that. So again, rhythm established. Rhythm, bounce, 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 bounce. And then he steps with his rhythm. So in the midst of a set pattern, he moves with that pattern to catch Kevin off guard. So there's a little bit of that Tasmanian devil, him closing the range. That wasn't necessarily setting the trap, but it was an advanced manipulation of expectations, an advanced form of deception and subterfuge, hiding his real intentions within that rhythm. And when Holland just tries to put up his high guard, be defensive, and walk Page down, Page just times his forward momentum. So he feints right there. Holland doesn't respond. He's still coming forward. And so since he's still coming forward, that lets MVP know that he can try and time him again. And this time he does time him with an uppercut. So again, counter punching. Counter punching is a cornerstone of his style. I would say even more so than sniping. I'll end off with a note. I said he was more of a sniper in the last vid where I was talking about archetypes, but I think in this vid I changed what I would mostly categorize him as. I think I would mostly categorize him as a wild card counterpuncher. I say this because a lot of his offense is coming from those elements. But when he is sniping from range, when he is escaping, he does perform like a Tasmanian devil, emphasis on footwork. But In other words, he uses his feet to set up sniper shots from long range, and he uses his feet to escape and cut angles. But most of the time when you're watching MVP, he's setting traps and he's being quite unpredictable with how he's gonna damage you with those traps. He could pull you into a flying knee, he could pull you into a spinning elbow, he could break his rhythm and jump in with a cross. A lot of it is just based off unpredictability, and a lot of it is based off setting traps. So I think it's more fair to call him a wild card counter puncher. On to the next, releasing one on Dustin Poirier very soon. Fight Scientist, that is all. Immortality Serum out.